My name is Jeff Gomez. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of Starlight Runner Entertainment. We are a production company based in New York City, and we specialize in a type of production called transmedia storytelling. We define a story world as something that is not just a single television show or a novel or a commercial or even a commercial campaign. A story world is the totality of the narrative behind your brand or your show or your narrative, your message. This includes bits and pieces that you can enjoy all by themselves, but when you add them to your other experiences of the same narrative universe, your appreciation deepens. You become more joyful because it fits together. And when I like the story world, I tell my friends about it because I want them to enjoy what I'm enjoying, right? That's the secret. That is the engagement that creates value for your world, because a positive relationship between your world and the audience or the consumer, the user, means that they are going to bring more people, and those people will bring more people, and your audience will grow, your revenues will increase, there'll be success. In this day and age, you are not going to be able to get away with repeating your story over and over and over again. In the old days, that's what you had to do, you know? There's no choice. You watch the show a second, a third, a fourth time, or you put the DVD in and you watched it over and over again. The commercial came at you again and again and again. Now, there's so much that we can go to that we don't have to tolerate being repeated to anymore. So how do you engage this audience, which has so many distractions, and make them want to stay with you, to become interested in your brand or your story? You have to come up with ways that, that signify a dialogue. Your story has to be better. Your sensitivity to the desires of the audience has to be stronger. You can't stay the same. You have to be constantly aware of the conversation that is happening around your brand or your narrative in order to stay relevant to the times. If you don't, the conversation moves past you and it's over. It is not my job to impose my stories onto the Disney company, Microsoft, Coca-Cola. They have very powerful and interesting stories to tell. So they understand that I can be entrusted to amplify the story and to help them to modify the story so that it engages people in different ways on different media platforms. When you have that level of trust, it's unusual. Even people who don't get along too much might agree, well, you know, he's pretty cool. I recommend you use him. And so the word gets around. In one sense, it's amazing because I'm just a kid from New York. We New Yorkers are not afraid of a little work. We are honest. We are devoted to the story. So we don't care who you are. We're serving a higher power, right? The story. So it guarantees you that we're going to be honest. We're going to not give you an opinion. We're going to give you an analysis based on the fundamental structure of story, the mythic narrative that we all live by, that we all understand. And that's what allows us to move from one culture to the next, one nation to the next, and one corporation to the next. The story is not just the story that you're telling. The story is also the story that all of your employees are telling. The story is what all your partners have to tell. And the story also is the response, the reaction of your audience. Each one of them has a story to tell. What happens is that a lot of environments don't want to hear those other stories. And sometimes even within the project or the production or the company, people's stories differ about what it is they're doing and what it is that the goal is. What that is a bunch of little streams that are all dropping separately down the mountain and spreading outward. And sometimes that creates just a trickle and it disappears. The job of the reversal is you must accept all of these stories and bind them into a kind of river of narrative and take ownership of that river, even if some of those stories are negative, even if it's criticism or they are mocking you, right? Because it's so easy to take a photo and put some dumb saying on it and throw it out on Facebook, and suddenly you're like, oh, I'm embarrassed. They're making fun of my brand. I don't want to listen to them. I don't want to be in social media, right? Because this reversal is there. No, when you know your story, when your story is resounding in your heart and in the hearts of the people around you, it can take a little criticism. It can take the reversal. In fact, it could say, you know what, I don't agree with you because here's what we stand for, and here's what we're doing, and there's evidence here, and here's all these stories that say this, right? Or the reversal could come, and you could say, well, that's a good point. All right, you know, we made a mistake. We're human beings, right? And we're going to do our best to fix that mistake, even though it's going to cost us a little money. Geniuses, artists who build story worlds, what are they concerned with? The details. The details, because they know that the details, when you add them all up, create something that is absolutely convincing. Okay, so when I walk in to look at footage from Avatar or any of these big projects, I can see those details, and I also can recognize that those details are there because it is so important for the visionary to convey a message. To say something important that he's trying to communicate from his heart to the entire world, okay? If you just say the message, it's boring. It's like a cliche. We must love everyone. You know, love, it's the answer. Who cares, right? But if I create every blade of grass, if I can create a creature that the sunlight you could see through the ear, because it's like the skin, the blue skin is translucent, in the audience, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. That's so real. I'm staying. I'm going to stay and hear this message and walk out embracing this message, whether I know it or not, right? So if I can recognize that, it seems to be unusual, which is a little sad, but it's unusual. And so he will say, okay, I'll work with him because he gets it, he understands it. And that's all it really is. In a way, it's being nerdy because I can see the details.